This month has some room for experimentation. To actually go with this top one. Why is this so accurate? I am beginning a journey and I also am a fool. Hello my bookworms, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sydney. In today's video, we will be playing my Spin the Bottle TBR game for July. Hey, what's up? How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. July is fixing up to be a very, very busy and crazy month. There are a few housekeeping things I want to chat about. First and foremost, I don't even know how to say it because it's so new to me as well. If you don't know, July is one of the months that are involved within NaNoWriMo, which NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, which happens every November, I believe. And they have little mini sessions in April and July throughout the year as well, which are called Camp Nano. Now, we are actively moving into July swiftly. We are in July now. Oh God. And I'm saying this because I was gonna say try to participate. I need to be more confident in myself. I am participating in Camp Nano this year in July. So I kind of discussed this writing-ish journey in a reading vlog that I'm actually filming right now. It's for Fourth Wing. If you are interested, stick around because that'll come out in a couple weeks or so. But when I was a kid, my answer to what do you want to be when you grow up was always a writer. I wanted to be an author or a professional whatever sport I was playing at the time. And without getting into it, I am trying to bring that childhood dream back to life, you know? Writing is a very intimate thing for me, so it's going to be a trial and error. This next month is going to be very intense for me mentally and emotionally, and we're gonna do our best. In November, NaNoWriMo is a 50,000 word goal, but in Camp Nano, you can set your own goal and work on whatever you want. I put my goal at 10,000 for this July just because I haven't actually been in this headspace, this creative side of my brain, in a very long time, so I don't want to overwhelm myself. Hopefully I can write way more than 10,000 words, but who knows? I want to maintain expectations, you know what I'm saying? But all of this being said, I will have to spend some time writing this month. Whoa, crazy. So on the Spin the Bottle board this month, you'll see a couple new spaces. I did some arts and crafts this morning, and I am going to be adding in 2 pies that are covering the +1 bottle, add a spin space, and then the respin space. I'm going to be covering those with 2 different spaces that you'll see. One of them is, if I land on it, I have to add 1,000 words to my goal for Camp Nano. The other one is story time, meaning that if I land on that, I won't have to pick a book for that spin. It is just a free space, an empty space, to where I don't have to add a book to add to stress this next month, and I could just spend the time that I would spend reading a book for that spin, I can spend that time writing my novel. Whoa, that sounds crazy. But you'll see those spaces come into play. I think that concludes the housekeeping topics that I wanted to discuss. Basically, I'm participating in Camp Nano and I will be spending some time writing in addition to my reading content. So if writing content is something that you guys want to see, please let me know down below what you would want to see in regards to that. It's a very new thing, you know? I haven't yet done that on my channel. I want to know what type of content you'd be interested to see, whether I just include it in a reading vlog or if I do a solo writing vlog, I don't know. This month has some room for experimentation and we'll see how it goes. All of this being said, I really hope today's game goes well. I do have quite a few extra reward prompts from previous months, and this month is no different. I did complete last month's Spin the Bottle TBR. Last month I did pull double up on prompts, and I didn't even have to do that. Last month I had a really solid reading month, honestly. That's been kind of the vibe of the year so far. It's been great. Having the leniency that I gave myself this year with the game, it's been, I'll say it again, phenomenal. Stunning. That being said, the first thing we do is go over last month's prompts, make sure that you guys believe that I completed all of them, and then we can pick a reward and go on to today's game. The first prompt was I had to pull up a Rorschach ink blot test and basically pick a book off of what those vibes on that ink blot told me, and I said it looked like a bug. I picked Wayward by Amelia Hart. This was read, an exclusive vlog for this one, and last month's Greenhouse Compendium pick, which was the Decagon House Murders. This is an exclusive reading vlog for the Greenhouse. The link for that is always down in the description. We would love to have you join us, but this exclusive vlog with these 2 books will be coming out in the first week or 2 of July. The second prompt was a TBR veteran, and I originally picked Circe. This was one of the options. I actually DNF'd this one. It was a very soft DNF. I think that I just wasn't in the mood for a mythology style book. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I think that it will be really good one day. It was not what I wanted to be reading at that point that I was trying to do so. So this was a soft DNF. But in order to fulfill the prompt, I did actually choose Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. Now, this was published in 2022, so I don't know if you would consider that a TBR veteran, but I mentioned last month that how I kind of gauge TBR veteran is sort of by feels and vibes. Like, I feel like I've wanted to read this for so long and like since it came out, and I just haven't yet. So I'm counting it, but do with it what you will. This was last month's Greenhouse Compendium pick, and it has an extensive exclusive review over on the Greenhouse Patreon channel as well. The third spin, we got the prompt of A Tome, which is a book greater than 500 pages, and I read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, definitely over 500 pages, and I think that this could also be considered as a TBR veteran, but you know, I digress. I'll let it be. Let it go. But this was A Tome. Next one was a Terra Space, and we got a seasonal read, and I read Delilah Green Doesn't Care, by Ashley Herring Blake. This kind of just gave me summer vibes, and I read it. The last spin, we got a mood read, and you can count either The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School or Alone with You in the Ether. I read both of these books, so take your pick. That being said, I did complete my TBR, so I will be choosing a new reward. So let's go ahead and pick a reward out of this. Here, jar says swap a prompt with another. That's a fun reward. If I don't like a prompt, I could just pick another one. I don't recall writing this one, but I really like it. If you don't believe me, here it is. There you have it. So I'll keep that in my arsenal and see if I want to use it today or any of the other ones. In addition to that, we have double up on prompts, we have treat your shelf, and we have a 5-star prediction. So I'm doing really well this year. But that being said, we can go on into the first spin of the game, which is my Patreon only spin. All the spaces will be covered with prompts submitted to me from my patrons. And after that, we'll mix and mingle all the prompts, and you'll see me add our new spaces on top of the board. And we'll go on into the rest of the spins. So let's go for spin number 1. Spin number 1 could not have gone better. Truly, last month I started Ace by Angela Chen. Well, I started it on audiobook, and I got about 10% of the way through, and I realized that it was a book that I really wanted to own, and I really wanted to listen to it or read it physically and be able to underline and bracket paragraphs that were really speaking to me. I didn't even say, the prompt we landed on was read a book with Ace representation. Hello, jumping back into it. Since I felt that way about the audiobook, I did stop listening to it and wait until I could get the physical copy. So now this month I can actually finish it, which is great. This is a nonfiction about what asexuality reveals about desire, society, and the meaning of sex. So far, the narrator is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure if it is actually Angela Chen. I'd like to look into that because I love the narrator's voice. But the author, from what I could gather so far from what I listened to, interviewed, I think, upwards of 60 different people who identify as ace. And from what I can gather, this is a compilation of what she found during these interviews and during her self-exploration. I've heard nothing but great things about this, and I already can tell you that it's going really well. So I'm really excited to finish this. So let's mix and mingle all the prompts, put on our new spaces, and go on to spin number 2. This truly is the year of the tarot. Like, I have landed on this space so much this year. I'm not mad about it, but I am a little bit surprised. I do have my tarot deck handy. This is the major arcana of this deck that I have. I have a predetermined prompt for all of these cards, so I'm going to mix and mingle them, put the good intentions of please give me a good prompt, one that I could work with for all the hopefuls that I have on my list for this next month, because there are quite a few. So I'm going to actually go with this top one. Why is this so accurate? So the card that I pulled is beginning, and the way that I immediately interpreted it was like the beginning of a new journey, which could be writing, which is super crazy. Okay, let's see what Past Sydney had chosen for this prompt. Okay, so apparently the card beginning is also called the Fool in a lot of decks, which is also fitting because I am beginning a journey and I also am a fool. And I have 2 different versions of this card in my predetermined prompts apparently, because you can interpret it 2 different ways. So one of the prompts is read a backlist book, kind of like a veteran, or I can read a book that feels like a journey or feels like you are beginning means something new. And I have so many things that I want to pick for this. There are actually quite a few options. Okay, hold on. I actually have way too many options for this card. Okay, and if you're new to my Spin the Bottle game, I am allowed, starting this year, to give myself options for every prompt. I only have to fulfill the prompt. I no longer have to lock in my choice. So, options that I am thinking about doing for the Fool beginning are the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. This is his Secret Project 2, and I'm excited to read it. It's kind of fun and whimsical, kind of the vibe that I'm looking for this next month. And I'm choosing this for this card because apparently our main character awakens in a clearing in what appears to be medieval England with no memory of who he is, where he came from, or why he's there. He's being chased from a group from his own time. His sole hope for survival lays in regaining his missing memories, making allies among locals, and perhaps even trusting their superstitious boasts. So in a way, you can say that our main character is beginning a new journey in this new world that he is finding himself in. And I mean, he doesn't know anything about the new world that he's woken up in. He has to use the Frugal Wizard's Handbook, so you can say that he's feeling like a fool. I could stretch it, I could make that work. Another one is actually The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. This was a gift from one of my patrons, Heather. Thank you so much. This, I would say, is kind of the same vein. It's a classic, like, fantasy quest sort of story. Sort of what I want to be reading in addition to that new Brandy Sandy book because of, like, the classic fantasy vibes that I'm trying to emulate in the story I'm going to be writing. So both of these could be like the beginning of a quest, the beginning of a journey, and it could work. Likewise, this book, Drifts by Kate Zambrano, is actually about writing, like stream of consciousness. The main character becomes obsessed with the challenge of writing the present tense, capturing time itself. And it's an intimate portrait of reading, writing, and creative obsession. So this one I feel like could be relating to my beginning as a writer and taking on the beginning of that journey. And the fact that it's about writing feels like I could make that work. And the last one is a book that I have been wanting to read. It just recently came out. It's My Murder by Katie Williams. This is about a main character who is brought back from death so that she can help solve her own murder. And it's almost like she's beginning her life again. You know, she's given the chance to begin again and make something new with her life in addition to finding out who killed her. I feel like these 4 choices are a little bit all over the place, but I would love to read any or all of them this next month. And I feel like I could stretch it enough to make it fit for that card. Regardless, we can go on to spin number 3. Spin number 3, we got read a book club pick, which is great. I love being able to just seamlessly tie in things from my book club. So this month, our main pick is Inkblood Sister Scribe, but this I'm not going to pick because I'll probably read it at the very beginning of August so that it's fresh for the live show, you know what I'm saying? But our buddy read pick, the poll actually had a tie for the second place, so I'm gonna pick either one of those. The first one is True Biz by Sarah Novich. So excited about this one. This is one that I've wanted to read since it came out. It's a story of sign language and lip reading, disability and civil rights, isolation and injustice, first love and loss, and above all, great persistence, daring, and joy. Absorbing and assured, idiosyncratic and relatable, this is an unforgettable journey into the deaf community and a universal celebration of human connection. I'm so happy that this was tied for second. I cannot wait to read this book. Have wanted to read it. So definitely going to be picking this one for this prompt, or I could also pick Disfigured, which is the book that this tied with. I have it on my Kindle. It is Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leduc. If you didn't know, July is Disability Awareness and Disability Pride Month. So I was making sure that in my book club, we had that representation there. It says, in fairy tales, happy endings are the norm as long as you're beautiful and walk on 2 legs. After all, the ogre never gets the princess, and since fairy tales are the foundational myths of our culture, how can a girl with a disability ever think she'll have a happy ending? By examining the ways that fairy tales have shaped our expectations of disability, Disfigured will point the way toward a new world where disability is no longer a punishment or impediment, but operates instead as a way of centering a protagonist and helping them cement their own place in a story, and from there, the world. So this is a nonfiction, and I've heard really good things about it, and I am very excited to be reading it along with the bookworms. So I'm gonna count either or both of those books for that prompt, and we can go on to spin number 4. prompt we got was read a book that reminds you of or is reminiscent of your Patreon tiers. The tiers over at my Patreon go worms, compost, wildflowers, and ecosystem. And I have the perfect one. I'm so excited that I'm able to fit this on my TBR. It is Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea by Rita Chang Epig. And the sea in and of itself is an ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? It's perfect. Wow. This was one of my most anticipated of the year, and I'm so excited to be holding it. I cannot wait to read it. I think I got it yesterday actually. But this is a dazzling historical novel about a legendary Chinese pirate queen, her fight to save her fleet from the forces allied against them, and the dangerous price of power. The cover alone was something that sold me immediately, but just reading that little blurb gives me so much excitement for it. I love a pirate queen story, so I can't wait to read this one. And now we can go on to spin number 5. That was a quick one. Very decisive. Good job, Sydney. Let's go on to spin number 5. I'm so happy that we actually landed on it. I didn't want to make those little spaces for nothing. We landed on story time. That's really exciting. This is so that I don't have to actually pick a book for this space, and it gives me so much more freedom to choose maybe one or two of... I have a sleeping Avi right next to me, and if I dropped those, wow, that would have been so traumatic. My sweet baby angel. What I was saying though, not having to choose a book for this spin gives me more freedom to maybe choose one or two or all of these. That's great. I couldn't have asked for a better spin to finalize this TBR. Even more so though, I have other books carrying over from last month that I also want to try to finish. So these are those books as well. One of the books that I want to read so bad this month is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is an arc I got from the publisher, and I really want to read it, so I really hope that I can. I did start The Final Offer by Lauren Asher last month. I didn't get that far in, but it was mostly just like, I didn't know what to read, so I just picked this up and started reading it. I'm like 100 pages in, so if I feel like I need a romance, I'll probably pick this one up at some point in this month. I did also start Film for Her by Orion Carlotto, which is a poetry collection. It's absolutely beautiful. It has a bunch of film photos along with the poems, and I would just like to continue chipping away at this. I am about maybe like 15% of the way through or so. And I also would love to pick up The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. So moral of the story is that there are a lot of books I want to read this month and a lot of words that I want to write as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens this month. I'm extremely nervous, but in the best way. With all of these books that I want to be reading and the responsibilities of taking up a new old hobby, I am going to not choose from the Greenhouse Compendium jar this month because I already will be doing an exclusive reading vlog for True Biz as well as Disfigured because I want to read both of those. So there will still be exclusive content this month for the Greenhouse, but I am just going to dial back one responsibility for now. I'm trying my best to like maintain my stress levels, you know what I'm saying? Since I am so unsure about what this next month will hold in terms of reading and writing, I am going to actually, just a heads up, is not do a June wrap up and conjoin my June wrap up with my July wrap up. So I'll have like a recent reads at the beginning of August, which will join June and July's wrap ups together. But I think that that is all that I have for you today. Thank you for being here and listening to me ramble and rant a little bit about how new and exciting things are, potentially. If you are still watching and don't really know what to say, leave a pencil emoji down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another and happy reading. Bye.